Hello everyone, and good afternoon, and welcome to the culinary scene here at Roth Living in Denver. I am Chef Ben Davis, who will be taking you through this introduction to the Wolf Convection Steam Oven. So we're so glad you're able to join us today and learn a little bit about this remarkable appliance that you can add to your kitchen suite. And I dare say that once you have, you are going to find this is going to easily become your most favorite appliance in your kitchen. So as we always do before we get started, we want to make sure we cover a couple of things. One, know that the link that you use to come to today's live event can also be used in the future to return to the recorded version of this exact same event. So if there's something that you want to review or perhaps something you want to clarify through the video, you can always use the same link to take you back to this event when it's on YouTube, on the Roth Living YouTube channel. You can come back and use exactly the same link. The other important thing that we want to make sure we emphasize today is that this is a live event. We are streaming live. This is not a recorded event. So if you have a question, please use the chat feature on the video screen so that you can ask your questions directly. Lynn, who is behind the camera today, will get those questions. She will relay them directly to me. We want to make sure we get those questions for you answered today, so you don't have to wait to come back and view the video in the future and then type in a question. No, use the chat feature today. Get those questions answered directly, right? No question is going to be too simple or too basic. We want to make sure that you understand completely about how this appliance fits into your kitchen suite, how it can be used, how it can be installed, all of those things. So please use the chat feature to ask those questions, and we will answer them today as we go through today's stream. So today is an introduction. We are talking about how this appliance fits into your kitchen suite. We're going to give you some technical information, not too much. We really don't want to bore you with all the little tiny details about things like installations and all of that kind of stuff. But if you need more in-depth information, the best way to do it is if you can make your way to one of our 5 Roth Living showrooms across the greater Midwest and Rocky Mountains. That's going to enable you to go in, speak to a consultant, speak to one of the chefs in the showrooms, see the appliance up close and personal, get a sense of what it's about. If you need some more, tactile information, make sure you get into one of our showrooms, and set up a time to speak with a consultant or with the chefs about not only this appliance, but all Sub-Zero, Wolf, and Cove appliances. So it's really, really imperative that if this is a part of your process, it's really going to make a difference in the long run. You're really going to find it beneficial if you can make yourself available in one of the showrooms. And maybe you can't and you just need to come to these virtual events. That's great. That's what we're here for. We want to make sure we get as much information across to you via this medium as we would in a live meeting in one of our showrooms. So again, questions, use the chat feature, type them in as we're speaking. Again, that's going to be very important for you. 2, make sure you use that link in the future if you want to come back and review or revisit this live event. You can view it in a video format. So let's talk about a convection steam oven. And I guess the first question is, why is a steam oven so vastly superior to just a traditional oven, right? Because obviously you have the addition of steam in the oven cavity. And what are the benefits going to be of steam? Well, the first benefit obviously is moisture, right? If we can add moisture to many different cooking processes, we can enhance, we can improve the quality of that item, right? We can definitely do that when we're baking, when we're roasting a chicken, when we're doing a pot roast, as we've done here with our Southwestern pot roast. Obviously, adding the moisture in the oven cavity is going to help break down those tougher cuts of meat a little bit faster and give you a much better result. So steam is going to enable that in your oven. The second really big advantage of steam that is frequently overlooked is how much more efficient your oven becomes and how much more quickly it can cook food because of the addition of steam. And the best example of that would be, if I'm reaching into a traditional oven that may be 400, 425 degrees, so long as I protect my hand, I can easily reach into that oven and remove that food from the oven without any harm or damage to myself, right? But if I have a pot of boiling water or a tea kettle on the stove that is boiling really, really rapidly and it's emitting a stream of steam, I avoid that steam because I know that it will scald my skin. Well, if you're thinking about a 425 degree oven versus 212 degrees at sea level, if we're up here in the mountains, right, that water isn't even close to 212 degrees, but that steam transfers the heat much more efficiently, much more rapidly, right? So the heat is transferred, so it's cooking faster. And then that coupled with the fact that we're adding moisture, now the two big benefits of using steam when we're cooking are easily seen, right? The fact that it's going to add moisture and it's going to cook more efficiently and therefore more quickly. So yeah, you can shorten cooking times by the addition of steam. So the convection steam oven, in the sense that it can add steam to a cooking process, is going to give you benefits of both. But it's not just the steam that we have to talk about when we're talking about a convection steam oven. We have to talk about all the other features that it has. But the steam is the most important part. So let's just turn here. This is a professional model convection steam oven, M series convection steam oven, right? Located here in this wall behind me, right? Trimmed to match the oven below it, and that can be done in any of our trim styles, whether you prefer professional, transitional, or contemporary. The convection steam oven can be trimmed to line up with any style that Wolf manufactures, so that it'll look almost like it's a singular unit when it's put together. But in fact, it's not. It's two separate units. So this is the professional M series with its nice heavy handle, little bit more stainless than glass, and you'll find a little more glass on a transitional style. And on a contemporary style, you might find a retractable handle, right? That's going to be something that some people might really like, that idea, that nice clean look with fewer handles. You can do that as well. So the convection steam oven here, trimmed to look 30 inches wide, when in fact the oven itself is only a 24-inch cavity. Now currently, if you're buying a convection steam oven, the Wolf convection steam oven, this is the cavity you're going to get. You're going to get that 24-inch cavity. However, in the future, as we look into 2023, so as we get into the second quarter of next year, we are going to be able to offer you a 30-inch wide cavity, the largest cavity we've ever built on a Wolf convection steam oven. And what will the advantages of that will be? Well, obviously it'll be slightly larger, so you can get a little more volume of food in the oven, but it's still going to have the same features that we're going to talk about today. So just know that next year, as we get into 2023, you're going to see an increased cavity size on the convection steam oven with all the same features that they have in the current model, just a slightly larger cavity. There'll be a couple other amenities that'll go along with that oven. We'll offer full extension glide racks on the side. That'll come standard with the oven. So you'll see that, so it's easier to withdraw the food from the oven very, very simply. But right now we're talking about how this 24-inch cavity works and how the oven works, right? So you can see it's a 24-inch cavity. Don't be fooled, right? 24 inches, you're thinking, oh, that's not a very big cavity. I can't cook a lot of food in there. You can cook a 20-pound turkey in this oven. You can cook a full prime rib, a full-size prime rib, a bone-in prime rib. A standing rib roast can easily be roasted in this oven without any problem whatsoever. So don't think that just because this looks like the cavity of a microwave that it can't handle a large cut of meat or a large turkey or a couple of chickens. No, it can easily handle that and cook it very, very quickly. So cavity, just 24 inches, small but very, very powerful. Now the steam, how do we produce steam? You know, there's some other models out there. They might have a reservoir that's on the interior. Our reservoir is located on the exterior of the oven, and it's right here in this drawer, and this reservoir right here that you're going to fill with water just from your kitchen tap. You're not going to need a special form of water, no distilled water, no deionized or demineralized water. You're just going to fill that water from your tap. Once that water is filled in the reservoir, you can now steam for 2.5 consecutive hours, right? So if you're doing a lot of vegetable steaming, or maybe you're steaming a lot of shrimp for a big party platters, easily 2.5 hours of steam with this reservoir when you're just using pure steam. One of the other features that's going to come on the new model, on the next generation of convection steam oven, again in 2023, is you will have the ability to get a plumbed version of the same exact oven. So it'll look exactly the same, right? It will still have a reservoir. We'll need the reservoir for descaling and cleaning the oven internally. However, it will have the plumbed feature, so you can actually run a water line in and a drain line out, right? So that'll just have to be some modifications to your cabinetry, and you'll need a plumber obviously to run the water line so that it can be hooked up by one of our installers, but you can get a plumbed version on that new generation coming next. So again, a couple of the features of the new convection steam oven coming in the future will be a wider cavity, 30 inches, and the ability to have a plumbed version. If you don't want a plumbed version, no problem. You can still get the reservoir version. Don't have to have a drain line in there, so you can literally just supply the power to the unit and install it as you would any other appliance without needing to worry about a water line in or out. So again, we fill the reservoir with water from the tap, and now we can create steam. So steam is just one way that you can cook in this oven. It can just be a steamer, right? Just using steam in this oven allows you to cook vegetables, seafood, lots of things very quickly, just like you would on your stove or in a standalone steamer. The oven functions just as a steamer, right? Giving you full control over that beautiful 100% humidity, so you can have that healthy, fresh cooking technique right at your fingertips, right here. It also can be a singular convection oven. So when you want to just bake, a loaf of bread and you want to just use dry air, or you're going to bake some cookies or some biscuits or something like that where you don't need steam, or you just need the nice hot dry air, this oven also functions as a secondary convection oven. So if you're thinking about needing 2 oven cavities in your kitchen and you would like a full-sized convection oven, but you're thinking to yourself, I need a secondary oven, the convection steam oven can also be just that secondary convection oven. So when you have that quick dry oven process that you need to complete, again, cookies, biscuits, things like that, this oven can just be a convection oven as well. But it's when you start combining that convection, hot, dry air with steam, right? 100% moist, humid air, right? Together is where the oven really begins to shine. And that's in those convection steam modes, convection humid, reheating modes, sous vide modes. All of those modes function by using dry air in addition to the steam, so now you can cook things faster and more efficiently. The oven does it for you, right? Much of what the Wolf convection steam oven is all about is about the ease of its use. We did not make the oven so that you can adjust the humidity and adjust the temperature independently, so that if you've decided that you think, okay, if I can add 40% humidity or 30% humidity, that's going to improve it. The oven is not, in our estimation, we felt that it was better to give you modes that are already programmed, so that once you understand those modes, you can easily apply them to whatever it is you're cooking. And the beauty of, again, being in the Roth Living territory is that we offer that training and ownership experience at one of our showrooms with one of our chefs, so that you can learn all about the minutia of those different modes and how to utilize the oven the best way possible. So just remember that, you're looking at this and I'm talking about things like convection steam and convection humid and all of those things, and you're thinking to yourself, how am I going to know how to use those? We're going to make sure that you're trained, that you're given the support and all of that, whether you're here on the culinary scene, taking care of our videos, watching videos, watching live streamed events much like this one, which are more about a recipe preparation, where you're actually watching the chef use the oven and you can follow along directly. You could even ask some questions during those sessions. So there's a lot of support here at Roth Living, so that you don't feel like, oh, you're just having to kind of wing it when it comes to learning how to use this oven. We're going to make sure that that support is there. So convection steam, convection humid, the reheat modes, all those baking modes, the gourmet modes that utilize both steam and dry air, it's programmed into the oven. You don't have to decide how much humidity, right? You can just adjust the temperature, you can adjust the time, and the oven will take care of the steam and the humidity, so you get the benefit of that steam without having to do a lot of calculations in your head. You can just know that those modes are there for it. Convection steam, again, is the best mode for just any number of things, whether you're doing a slow cooked braise, whether you're braising a pot roast like this, maybe you're braising a pork shoulder, something where you want to get something nice and texturally perfect, but still retain the moisture. That's going to be a mode that you can use for that. You can also use convection steam for doing a lot of roasting properties. So if you're doing you're going to roast some chicken breasts or a pork tenderloin, something where you want a little bit of color on the outside. I know it seems counterintuitive to say, oh, I want the most amount of color, I'm going to use a mode that uses steam, because none of us ever think, oh, well, I'm going to dip my, I'm going to boil my steak because I love the outside of the texture that boiling meat comes, right? We don't like that. We don't really enjoy the texture that is provided by that kind of meat. But in the convection steam oven, now we're using both modes. Again, we're using dry air and steam to get the best results. And the way the oven works is we use the steam throughout the process, which is helping accelerate and moisturize, but then that dry air takes over and it creates the browning effect and the crisping and all of those things. So you learn that you can use steam to help accelerate the cooking, adding moisture while still achieving that exterior crispness on the outside of, say, your macaroni and cheese, where we've literally used a mode that involves steam and got a nice crispy golden brown crust on the top of our macaroni and cheese. Again, that was using steam, and that's because it's using steam in conjunction with the dry air, so we get the best of both worlds. And then you have something like convection humid. What's unique about this oven is in a convection humid mode, not only does the oven hold the moisture inside, right? It traps the moisture from the food that's being produced, but it doesn't vent it out. It doesn't allow that food to dry out, but you're not adding steam, you're using the moisture produced by that food to be retained in the oven. So there's just so many different ways that you can use this oven to cook and accelerate and improve on what you're making. Now, there's one mode in here that I think just may be worth the price of the appliance. If you never cook in it, it's how you reheat your food, right? Reheating by using steam and slightly lower temperatures to reheat gives you ideally reheated food, right? And one of the beauties of this oven is that it comes with its own set of trays and racks. And when you're talking about reheating, these wire racks that come with your oven are ideal for reheating 4 plates simultaneously, up to 4 plates simultaneously. So if you can do that, instead of having to feed individual plates into the microwave where you're not 100% sure you're going to get the best quality reheated food, now I can use these 2 wire racks inserted into the oven, 4 plates reheated by first refreshing those leftovers with a little bit of fresh steam and then slowly bringing them to temperature. And when I say slowly, how long is that? You're talking about 7 minutes, 9 minutes? That's not that long to wait for food that's much more nicely reheated, so you have a much nicer meal with your leftover food, whatever you're reheating. So from a reheating standpoint, there's no microwave in the world that's going to hold a candle to the quality of the way that this convection steam oven is going to reheat your food. So from a reheating perspective, second to none, right? It can also be a wonderful defrosting tool, right? So another thing you might use a microwave for, right? You're reheating in a microwave, you're defrosting frozen foods, frozen items in a microwave. You can defrost in the convection steam oven just using a nice low temperature steam, right? A nice 100% humidity environment, going to gently and evenly defrost your food in only slightly longer than it will take to defrost in a microwave without any of the concerns or worries about, oh, I partially cooked my chicken breast by defrosting it in the microwave. Or, yeah, it was defrosted at the small part, but the back part was still frozen solid. The nice thing about convection steam, again, steam is an completely enveloping environment, so it's going to defrost much more evenly and completely than you would find defrosting in a microwave would give you. Okay, so that's really important to remember. You can defrost, you can reheat better than any microwave is ever going to do. What can't you do in convection steam oven? Well, you can't reheat your coffee because A, it'll dilute your coffee because there's steam involved. 2, the mug will be outrageously hot, so you're not going to be wanting to reheat coffee in a convection steam oven. You might need a microwave for that. The other thing the convection steam oven can't do is it can't pop popcorn. So you can't throw your microwave popcorn in here and pop it in the CSO. But when you're talking about those two items, that it's what a microwave can do that this oven can't, that's a pretty short list, and quite frankly, I'm not sure that I would trade off the advantages of a CSO for just being able to reheat coffee or pop popcorn, right? That's not going to be enough to sway me one way or the other, or to sway me away from a CSO. That's not going to be something you're going to do. What else can't it do? Well, this current model cannot broil. It can't toast something. It can't melt cheese on the top of something. But again, a third advantage of the new generation of convection steam oven coming next year will be that it will have a broiler element inserted into both models. The 24 and 30-inch cavities will include a broiler element so that you now can use it to melt cheese, to toast the top of something, I dare say even to broil the outside of a steak or a piece of fish. It's going to give you a little more color on top. So again, that broiler is coming with the next generation. And in 2023, you'll see a broiler element added into a convection steam environment, right? So that's some of the three things that are really different about the next generation, those three additions, right? So we've talked about, again, it's a great reheating tool. It's a great defrosting tool. You can use it for any number of things. All the items that you see in front of me here today have been prepared in the convection steam oven. We did our pot roast using low temperature steam, right? 250 degrees for a couple of hours gives us a beautifully tender and beautifully cooked pot roast. We took our macaroni and cheese. You can literally do the entire preparation of macaroni and cheese from cooking the noodles. You can cook your noodles in the convection steam oven should you want to. It takes a little longer than boiling them on the stove, but it can be done in the oven. Do you have a question? No. All right, so you can do your noodles in here. Then the only thing I didn't prepare for the macaroni and cheese in the convection steam oven was the sauce, was the cheese sauce, right? Didn't prepare that in the oven, but baked it all completely in the CSO using that, again, that mode that uses a little bit of steam, right, to give us a crispy topping on our baked macaroni and cheese. And then our French style apple tart, right? Baked the entire way using the convection mode, gives us a nice, delicate, crispy tart crust while still slowly cooking those apples so they're almost like a pureed consistency of all those sliced apples, all again done in the convection steam oven. So everything. And then last but not least on this array of food is our fresh ciabatta bread that we baked today here using the convection steam oven. Think about all the breads you could prepare when you have the ability to add steam to the cooking process. We all know that a loaf of bread is always improved by the quality of its crust, and steam is what improves the quality of the crust. So this ciabatta has the beautiful, you can see the internal structure of ciabatta with the nice wide holes, right? That's beautiful example of how Italian breads should be prepared, but it has a wonderful crispy crust on the outside, all again from the addition of the steam in the oven. And how did that happen? It happens because we can use a mode that involves steam, or if you're feeling a little unsure of yourself, right, and not sure exactly how you might want to bake a loaf of bread in the oven, there is the gourmet feature on the convection steam oven. Now, for those of you who know a little bit about a Wolf oven, know that a gourmet feature on all of our ovens is basically the oven has some pre-programmed processes built into the oven that you can choose when you're baking something or cooking something, roasting something, that you're a little unsure of how to proceed in the oven. And the gourmet feature, it's all programmed in there. In the oven, there are over 150 different processes that are built in. Some of those processes include baking a loaf of bread, right, where it does all the deciding for you. It adds the steam, it adjusts the temperature, it even will tell you the time it will take to bake that loaf of bread, because in this oven there is a very sophisticated sensor system that can actually calculate approximate mass of food that you've inserted into the oven, and then once you've told it everything it needs to know, what you're baking, how you would like it done, the oven will figure out the mass, and then it will tell you it's going to take this long to bake. So there is a very sophisticated system in here that allows you to use all of those tools in the oven so that you can bake and roast with confidence and with assurity that you're going to get the product that you're hoping for, right? You're not just like sticking something in the oven and just wishing it's going to come out. No, you're going to know that the oven is helping you, right? Prepare that food in such a way that it's going to come out ideally suited to how you want it. So that bread is just one way. That bread is one way that the gourmet feature can assist you with making it. And then again, the other features that are going to come along with that are going to be the temperature probe included with your oven. You're going to have a temperature probe that interfaces directly with the oven, so you can cook to an exact degree of doneness. And should you choose to, you can choose to have the food that you're cooking to that exact degree of doneness done at an exact moment in time, so that as you're planning a dinner party and you want to make sure that your roast is done exactly when you would like to serve it and not have to worry about resting it and letting it cool down or any of those pitfalls that you might come across when having a fancy dinner party, the convection steam oven will allow you to make sure that that roast is done at the exact moment that you would like to serve it, without having to worry about now taking it out and resting in the oven. The oven will roast it fully for you using your temperature probe. And then should you need to, wait a little bit longer, maybe you're having such a nice time that you got a little beyond your time and you knew the roast was going to be done, but it was done 15, 20 minutes ago. And your first thought would be, oh Lord, I've overcooked it. It's going to be ruined. My whole dinner party is going to be a mess. No, if you've used a convection steam oven, not only will it hold that food at the exact temperature that you asked it to be cooked to, but it will keep it nice and warm, keep it rested, so that when you take it from the oven, all you need to do is take it out and slice it. So the oven has the ability to do that. None of our other ovens have that ability to not only build in the cooking time, but the resting time as well, and then hold it should it need be held for longer than the time that you allotted for it to be cooked in. So that's really a nice feature that comes with the convection steam oven, right? It has a myriad of other features that you can take advantage of, whether if you're someone who loves to preserve and to can at home, maybe you like to make jams and jellies, different types of preserves. The oven can replace the whole process that you would normally do on the stove, where you're immersing the jars in boiling water, letting them sterilize, then take them out, fill them, and then reprocess them to seal them so that they'll be able to stay in your pantry for up to a year. The oven can replace all of those processes built into the oven. So that is a really nice feature as well. You don't have to be sticking your hands in boiling water when you're doing all of those things. Just has a number of different other things that you can do if you're making custards, cheesecakes, all of those things can replace the water bath technique that you might do in a traditional oven, because the steam functions as the water in the oven. So it gives you that ability to use it. Now remember, as I said, the oven comes with its own set of pans. So you're getting two of these nice wire racks, which are great for when you're baking in your own vessel, like this gratin dish, or perhaps it's a roasting pan that will fit on there, so you can use those two. It also comes with a perforated tray, great for steaming, whether you're doing fish or vegetables. All that is wonderful for steaming on there. But it can also be used much the same way as the solid pan can when you are baking. So if you are baking with, if you're doing some cookies or biscuits, things like that, and you need to line this with the parchment paper, you can use it just like your solid tray. So you literally have two trays that will fit really nicely, and in fact exclusively into your convection steam oven, and give you the ability. So it all comes with all of these things, and in fact with the new model, the model in 2023, not only will it include both of these trays, but it will also include a porcelain enameled tray, right, which will be great for broiling and other high temperature processes, so you get a little more browning. So you're actually going to get 5 pans included with that new version of the convection steam oven in 2023. So just something I learned just last week at a factory training. So learn all about using these. Again, it's going to be something that we provide here at Roth Living. We want to make sure that you're going to feel fully confident using this appliance. And then, not to mention, this is one thing that probably gets overlooked and about this oven. You know, we talk so much about how many things you can do in it, right? But really, for many of you, what's going to be important is how easy is it to take care of it? How easy is it to maintain this product? Well, it's actually very, very simple. You don't need a self-cleaning feature on this, because it just has the ability to steam itself clean, right? So you can literally just run fresh steam through the oven while it's completely empty, and then easily wipe down the interior cavity. It's a stainless steel cavity, as you can see, so it's very easy to maintain this by just using a clean rag, a little bit of a mildly abrasive cleanser, and you can easily scrub out the interior of the cavity. And if you're worried about getting to the back of the oven cavity, just remember the door can be easily removed by anybody. You don't need any special tools. You can literally just take the door right off. Easy to clean the inside of the cavity. So that's very easy to maintain. You don't need to run 4-hour self-cleaning cycles. You're not going to heat up your kitchen to 800 degrees. No, you just run a quick 15-minute steam cycle, and then wipe it out and clean it. And then you will need to descale the product, but that's going to be something very easily done. It's a simple product that is added to the reservoir. It runs through, flushes out the system, then you rinse it a couple of times, and then you're good to go. And depending on how often you use your oven, you're only going to be doing that probably once every 9 to 12 months, so not very frequently. And another beautiful feature about this oven is that when it needs to be descaled, if you need to skip it because you're in the middle of a nice dinner party or something like that, you could just say, hey, I need to skip it and do it when I'm free to descale the oven. So you don't have to, you're not forced into a corner where you have to clean the oven right when it tells you to. So again, very low maintenance, very easy to take care of, customizable so that you can make it look exactly like it fits with your kitchen suite, whether it's above another oven, whether it's standing alone. We always just recommend that when you are thinking about designing your kitchen, right, and you are going to put a convection steam oven into the mix, right, into your kitchen appliance suite, make sure that you really want to try to put the oven at least at counter height or slightly higher, because you don't want to be opening a door, an oven that's full of steam and getting a face full of steam, or having it come up, if you have young children, right, if it's underneath the counter, they might open it, get a little too much steam in their face. You want to try to keep it up a little bit higher. It makes it much easier to work with. So mounting it over a classic Wolf M or E series convection oven is really most common, but you can also just mount it like this one over a speed oven, but just mount it up high so that it's easier to work with, easier to take care of. You don't want to be, down on your knees, cleaning the inside of the oven. You want it to be easy to clean when it's up high. So try to plan, if you can, to mount it just a little bit higher. I think you'll find it will be much easier to use. The ease of use will be much higher for you if you can put it up above counter height. That's really going to help you as you're mounting it. And again, remember, if you can make that trip to one of our showrooms to be able to see the convection steam oven in action, look at the different design styles, the different looks of the front. I think that will really help enhance your kitchen suite as you go forward. So Lynn, it doesn't look like we have any questions right as of yet. So we're getting pretty much close to the end of this quick discussion of what a convection steam oven can do, how it functions, right? So if we don't have any more questions, we're going to basically just tell you that, again, remember that the link that you received will take you back to this video should you need to review anything in the future. We hope that you'll be able to make it into one of our showrooms so that we can meet you in person, tell you a little bit more should you need to know it about the convection steam oven. But I dare say that if there's one appliance that we sell here at Roth Living and represent here at Roth Living, the convection steam oven is the appliance that upon the first day that you start using it, it's going to change your life in the kitchen for better. It's going to make your life easier, faster, more convenient. It's going to open up all sorts of opportunities for you to try new things, to reinvent recipes, perhaps that you haven't done in a number of years, but you'd want to try it in the convection steam oven. I guarantee you it's going to make it better. It's going to make it faster, as all of those things are going to be benefited by having a convection steam oven. It really is one of the great culinary tools that you can put into your residential kitchen right now, and you can cook much like a professional chef, because in so many restaurants around the world, this combination, convection and steam, is used all the time. So you really are going to feel like you're working, with a first-class appliance, and just give you all that choice. So again, if there's no questions, we look forward to seeing you again very, very soon, and we thank you so much for joining us today. If you have more questions and want more information about Sub-Zero, Wolf, and Cove products, we always invite you to come back to the culinary scene here at Roth Living, and we look forward to seeing you again really, really soon.